that, no matter what happens, no matter how angry or upset you are with each other, that doesn't mean that one of the partners is going to pull a number on you. You know that everyone's always going to be family at the end of the day.
I have one question. So it just occurred to me now. So when you started Pizza Bakery, that was you and your brother. Paris Panini was sort of like an acquisition where he had a food truck and like you scaled it entirely. Is there any reason you're building Smash Cash yourself and didn't just try to acquire a partner up with like a small scale burger joint?
Yeah, the opportunity didn't exist with the burger brand. There were no one's quite doing burgers the way we want it to be done. I think that's a short answer to that. We're not seeing anything with the existing brands, regardless of how small or large they are. There are a couple of brands that I can't name that we have approached.
Okay.
We've approached them to discuss if there's some way that we can kind of work together, because we saw them not really getting anywhere. That's why I don't want to name them.
No, fair enough.
Like you guys have been at it for 4 years, you're not really getting anywhere. We kind of know what we're doing. Why don't we do something together? For a lot of reasons, discussions kind of fizzled out. We had these discussions with two brands. Simply because I think they knew that, the moment we get involved, we'd want a very specific kind of product. And maybe that's the problem with chef-led brands sometimes. They want to stick to what is not working for no logical reason. I can stick to it. That's fine. So we're like, we'll just build our own. But with Le Casse-Croûte, which is what the food truck used to be called, it wasn't called Paris Panini. It was called Le Casse-Croûte. Sorry, Nicholas, I may be butchering the pronunciation. That was Nicholas's French food truck. He was opposite of what I just described. Very receptive. He knew that we have local experience. He kind of looked up to the fact that we had built Pizza Bakery to a reasonable size back then, and that he was struggling for 5 years, running this food truck, and then food trucks were banned, and he was having trouble dealing with us. He's a French white guy dealing with TDMP is not easy. As a local Bangalorean itself, we struggle. He was getting his head done in just dealing with those guys, and all sorts of bribes he was paying that he didn't need to pay for. Let me see. And even location, right? It didn't come intuitively to Nicholas because he was an outsider. He kind of knew, but we were like, his first location was probably not the ideal place, and we had a solid place for him on 12th Main. So we brought some tangible value to him, and he was smart enough. And he's also not like a professional chef. He's a self-taught, passionate chef who just used to sell his family recipes from his hometown in Arras. Used to just sell those sandwiches because he was passionate. He was actually a business guy first. Okay. So he was able to see the opportunity and partner with us and just let his own attachment to his brand go. And there was a great collaboration. So we kind of absorbed him into Popo Ventures. And we were like, first thing is that Le Casse-Croûte, I can't see it. Like, we need to change that. And then as we were just spitballing, I spat out the name Paris Panini, and it just kind of stuck. Yeah, little did we know we'll have 16 locations.
Is there any reason the logo of Paris Panini is very similar to the PSG logo?
That's not the logo. That's just the T-shirt.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd get sued if that was actually.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I mean, I've seen him wear that T-shirt on previous podcasts. That's what I wanted to ask you. I'm like, is it like allowed? Have it to?
No, if we ever get on PSG's radar, but that's a great milestone. So that's just a fun T-shirt. In fact, that is exactly the PSG logo, and in the PSG logo at the bottom of the Eiffel Tower, you see like some kind of wreath and trophy and stuff. We've removed that, and if you look closely at what Nicholas wears, it's a panini bread. So we've adapted that, and we just messed around with that. That's just a fun T-shirt. The actual logo is the beret and mustache that you see on the signage. Yeah, so.
And I mean, like when you started Pizza Bakery, did you ever anticipate that you would position Popo Ventures in a way that is basically like it's the way I see it, it's like an accelerator for restaurants. Like if you're just starting off with something new, you have the infrastructure, you have the experience and the know-how to just take something small and scale it rapidly. Did you know that you were going to build something like this?
No, not at all. And the smallest things, like we never built. First of all, we never started Pizza Bakery for it to be a scalable, pizza empire. We never thought of it that way. We were like, so I was sitting in my family travel agency, sending people on honeymoons and cruises and stuff. That was my job. I was taking care of Travel Bazaar, had an office in Jayanagar. That's what I used to do. My brother was working with his father-in-law, selling cars, automobile dealerships. He was working with Kaveri Ford, one of the Ford dealerships in the city. So that was our real job. This was like, okay, so we'll go to office in the morning, and spend half the day trying to build this thing. Maybe we'll go to one location, two locations, and it'll be good side income, disposable income. We never thought we'd quit all of that and put all our eggs into this. So, built it with the idea of scale. Like it's just, and this is like, I don't know if you guys have heard of Paul Graham, the Y Combinator guy, right? And he always says, and this is him saying it, right? But Y Combinator's birthed some of the most hyper scalable companies in the world. And he always spoke about companies like Airbnb and stuff, who never started with the idea of scale. They actually thought extremely niche, which is very contrarian. People always think things scale, scale, scale. So we don't think about, do things that don't scale is what is exact word, that do things that don't scale. And that's, I guess, somehow we weren't thinking about him when we did this, but we did that. It was me taking customer orders. It was my brother checking the POS system. My mom was doing billing. My dad was walking on the restaurant, making sure all the lights are working. My sister-in-law was also talking to customers. This is not scalable. This was the first 6 months of Pizza Bakery. It was just like the family running around the restaurant, clearing tables. I was wiping down tables. I was yelling at the housekeeping guy, telling him to wash plate. At that point, we were like, oh my God, are we ever going to be able to not do this stuff? We didn't have a plan, but it was certainly not scalable. And then slowly we built processes in place. Slowly we kind of took a step back. Slowly we got confidence in that there's solid demand for the product and we can hire a more expensive manager. And then after the first outlet started paying back the investment very, very rapidly, we were like, let's do a second one. We weren't thinking of number 20. We were thinking about number 2. Let's do a third one. You can see maybe Bangalore has potential for 3 or 4. After 3 or 4 also started, we're like, okay, let's do 5. Let's see where it stops. It's not stopping. So today we're at 16. We have 15 in Bangalore, 1 in Sri Lanka.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.